And welcome to the conversation. I'm Nubareto. In the conversation, we talk to different people in the community. We've gone on remote to different places, and we're winding down the summer. But it's election season, and we had a chance to talk to different candidates running for mayor. And we have a friend and a candidate running for mayor, Tony Branch. First of all, Bishop Tony Branch, appreciate you coming on the conversation, and welcome to the podcast.
Oh, my Lord. Listen, this is a blessing to be here with you, an award-winning producer and director. I actually feel intimidated. But, the ironic thing about all of this is that you are a believer in God. And God has fulfilled so many things in you, but you understand that for you to do for others. And what we recognize, the work that you've done in the community for us, you should get an Oscar for that. So we appreciate you. We thank you for having me here today.
Appreciate it. I mean, like I said before, I'm in a position now where I'm blessed, where I can now help people with the things I've done. So I'm going to make it a personal goal of mine. But enough about me. This is about you. This is about your candidacy, and this is about Brockton.
Right.
So for people who don't know you, you're running for mayor of Brockton.
Yes.
For people who don't know Tony Branch, who is Tony Branch?
So for folks that don't know me, it's probably a bunch that don't. I am currently the chair of diversity for the city of Brockton. But, prior to all of that, I am a private sector executive, significant background in both human resources and healthcare management has been my career. I had a good stint with respect to affordable housing, managing the Madison Park housing development in Roxbury, Massachusetts. I'm a Roxbury native, moving here to Brockton about 33 years ago. But I want everybody to understand, you might have heard Nubi say bishop. I am a retired pastor, currently overseeing churches, actually from here to Africa. So what I do is we license and teach churches, and I'm glad to continue the work of God, not only through the ministry, but through service of his people, which is the citizens of the city of Brockton. I am also on the Southeastern Regional School Committee. I'm chair of personnel, and what people don't know is I'm also the district assistant treasurer. So many people may know me from the various boards that I'm on, whereas is the Cape Verdean Associations Board, Haitian Community Partners. I'm the the most recent vice president of the NAACP here in the city of Brockton, as well as an executive board member of the Massachusetts Alliance Against Predatory Lending. So I've had a gamut of experience that I would like to bring to this to the mayor's office.
So a lot of different positions you could have ran for. Mm-hmm. We decided to run for the top for the mayor. Why?
Well, let me just say this. I was actually when we lost our beloved mayor, Bill Carpenter, about 2 weeks out, people called me, actually with respect to a opening that was going to occur in Ward 4 that we've taken care of with Tony Rodriguez going into the school committee. And then they said that there was a lot of talk because of my private sector executive experience. Why not run for mayor of the city of Brockton? I prayed on it, talked to my family. I went back to some of the folks that had asked me about it, and I decided to put my hat in the ring. And so we're running, and we're actually running pretty strong.
Let's talk about some of the issues. And you mentioned a few different forms of things that you want to do.
Yes.
What would be priority number one for a branch administration?
So priority number one, and I've made that quite clear, for me, I'm a non-attorney, but I do a lot of legal work. The Lopes case has to be settled. That is the largest liability that the city of Brockton has right now in terms of legal liability. This municipality is uninsured. So in terms of paying that particular legal expense, it will actually come from ratepayers, actually come from the taxpayers of the city. I think we need to take advantage of sitting down with Mr. Lopes to see if we can work out a reasonable settlement with him. He no longer lives in the city of Brockton, and for a person that has represented people administratively through MCAD or EEOC, I think that a person like Mr. Lopes is satisfied with respect to getting the judgment against the city, and I don't think that he wants his former neighbors to go broke as a result of some pretty bad conduct with respect to what the jury came back with.
You mentioned Office of Integrity,
Yeah.
Explain what that is.
Absolutely. So again, coming from the private sector, where ethics is very important. Not to say it's not important in the public sector, but what I want to do is my second executive order will be around developing the Office of Professional Integrity for the City of Brockton. The City of Brockton right now, I believe, has between 18 and 20 federal lawsuits that are both from current and former employees. So these are people that are public servants that have sued this municipality, whether they were called, some were called the N-word, they were treated pretty badly. My thought is that we need to do something with respect to making sure that this municipality has a professional governance. So a couple of things that we're going to be doing. First, the captain that's in charge of internal affairs will actually report up to the mayor's office. So I will be actually removing that from the chief of police. And then the second piece, we will be hiring our own investigators that will actually give full protection to employees. They actually already have this under the whistleblower statute, but they will be given full protection when they have an issue. They can come to the mayor's office and be rest assured that we're going to deal with it. We have to. So Brockton has a couple of black eyes. The first black eye is the perception that there's high crime, and the second black eye, well, three black eyes. And the second black eye is quality of life. The city doesn't look well, and thirdly, we're not a good city to work for. So we need to do something creatively to reduce that. One of the things that I haven't talked about, I'll talk about with you, is that I'm going to be doing something a little bit different than other municipalities. So when you bring a private sector manager in, you kind of bring those competencies with me. So we'll have town hall meetings with staff. I want to have a very strong working relationship with the unions that run the city of Brockton. I think that there's a lot of work that can be done. I think that a lot of the aggravation that has occurred over years past, I think the issues with respect to race can be managed if in fact we all are willing to come to the table. Anubi, I'm going to be honest with you, it's going to be a hard conversation, but you have to be able to have people that have the experience in doing that type of work to make sure that we have some accomplishment, that we have those goals, we have those objectives, and we get somewhere. Not to fast forward, but the other thing too is looking at the youth in the city. So I'm working with the mayor's, one of the last things that Mayor Carpenter did was I asked him to allow me to become a supervisor in the youth enrichment program. That's a program that I'm going to actually be looking in terms of doubling dollars, but I'm also going to change it a lot. Right now, these children or these kids, these teenagers are actually working on the streets picking up trash. I want to do something more of a hybrid. I want to build a private sector public partnership, whereas they may for a couple of weeks or their first year do this little trash thing with the classroom setting, also to be able to connect them with some of the businesses. So not only will we have them understand the environment of care, that's that waste removal rubbish piece, but also to be able to have them work in offices, because those technical skills, that professional development is what they're going to need, not only in terms of the work environment, but as they proceed in their academics. I'm trying, I know we got 20 minutes, so I'm trying to just make sure we get good information.
I do want to talk about housing and affordable rent. Brockton's, the last, I'd say, couple of years, I mean, construction has been through the roof. And everyone's agreed that they like the construction. But you said you want to include an affordable rent and affordable housing. So how would you do so? Yeah,
so let me just back up a little bit. So just a little bit, I'm 53 years old. So when I was raised,
black don't crack.
I know black doesn't crack. Everybody thinks I'm in my mid-30s, and so they're like, when they look at my resume, they're like, "No, Bishop, no, you're not." I'm like, "Yeah." So I've been around the block. So we look at the way we look at urban renewal and urban planning in terms of the African American experience in Roxbury, Dorchester, and Mattapan is a little bit different than what has occurred here in Brockton. So that's why I'm a little bit strong on this issue. So a couple of things that have happened with the construction. No one's against the construction. This is what we're against. We're against that when I look at the construction, I don't see people that look like me. That's a problem. So what I want to bring in is sort of like what Chuck Turner did. When these construction, when the apartments go up, they need to reflect staff that are both minorities and women. That needs to happen. Then the second piece is, or the more important piece actually, let's talk about the affordable housing component. So what we want to do is what they call inclusionary ordinances. So this is what they're doing. They don't call it affordable housing anymore. Forget about 40B. I'm talking about the city of Brockton will now have an ordinance. I'm going to work with the city council that says that if you do like Brother Lynch is doing, great guy. He's building 94 units at Campello, right around the street, right around the corner from where I live. 94 units, all market rate. Can his employees live there? Can the person that's working at Cumberland Farm live there? The answer to that is no. So my regulation will be that 5 to 10% of all new development in the city of Brockton goes to what we call affordable workforce housing. So what that might look like is the median income for Brockton is $45,000 a year. We would look at that number and come up with a rent that makes sense in terms of an actual regulation. Again, it's about jobs, so new construction goes up. Brockton residents, minorities, women should be in those construction roles. The second piece, the more important piece, families don't want to leave Brockton. They'll be able to remain here because a certain amount of those units will be set aside for them. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. So, in terms of decipher, because a lot of people say, this is welfare housing. That this is Section 8.
Right.
Decipher the difference.
So let me be absolutely clear, because that's what my certifications are in affordable housing. Section 8 housing is 30% of income. What we're looking to do is what we call the affordable inclusionary housing component, which means that the market rate currently is for a 2-bedroom in his development at $1,900. It may be as low as $1,200. Now people say, well, we're going to push back on it. You don't have to push back on it, because developers are making money hand over fist in this economy. It's not hurting developers. And let me tell you the other secret that people don't want to talk about. It's not only that they're making cash, they're flush with cash. That's how all these developments are going up. They're also getting the low income housing tax credit. So they're writing this down off of their liabilities. Newbie, love you to death, love everybody in the city. We have to be able to have somebody in the mayor's office that has this experience to do this type of work. That's my whole point. It's not a nick at anybody else. It's just the reality of it is there's going to be some tough times coming up, especially with all this development, especially with the largest partial that they're considering putting, 240 units of housing, market rate housing? No, that's not going to happen under a branch administration.
So, just to piggyback what you said, what separates you from the rest?
Experience. True private sector experience. We have young folks that are running for the mayor's office. Let me just say this as a human resources person. Newbie, you're coming to apply for a job. There's a job description. I look at your vita curriculum or I look at your resume. I match it up to the job description. If you don't match up to the competencies that I require, I'm not going to even interview you. I'm going to send you a letter saying, thank you for applying. We have other candidates that have more experience. Bottom line is that I'm that other candidate that has the experience to do the job and to do the job one. Let me say this to you. We had Bill Carpenter, and no matter what people say, in terms of diversity, Bill Carpenter did a very good job. In terms of economic development, Bill Carpenter did a very, very good job. In terms of diversifying even his office and those offices that he controlled, did a very good job. He said that the next mayor of this city would be a person of color. But more importantly, he said it takes a carpenter to build a city. It takes a branch with roots in the city to continue the process.
Let's talk about education. You being the mayor, you're automatically the chair of the school committee.
That's right.
Talk about some of the things, some of your envision for the school department. I know it's a separate entity, and the superintendent kind of runs it like its own city. But talk about that partnership.
Well, let's wait. Well, let's not say that. I'm going to tell you why. I'm so even on Southeastern, I'm pushing back that superintendents are all powerful with respect to clearly they run the district. But what people don't understand, and I'm puzzled by this, is the school committees are an extension of the state legislature. They have the legislative authority to dictate policy. If we decided that we wanted school books to be changed, a school committee can do it. I think what has happened is that people have a miseducation. So this is what I'm saying to you, bottom line. I am unhappy with the HR policies that have been historically established in Brockton Public Schools. As the chair of the school committee, I'm going to be looking at policies that are going to be voted on by the school committee that's going to make some changes around that. The schools need to reflect the pupils. I'm old, I said pupils. It needs to reflect the student body. People said that we can't get there. That's not true. We haven't tried to get there strong enough. I'm very happy with the interim superintendent. I hope and I pray that he's applying for the job. He's a friend of the community, so there's not going to be an issue there. But again, in terms of the legislative responsibilities, the vice chair of Brockton Public Schools will not be doing that. That will be me as mayor, as chair. Right now, a lot of that is divvied down to Minicello. A little bit of that will change under my leadership because I bring those competencies.
We got a few minutes left. I just want to give you, just to make a pitch. Primaries is coming up September 17th. Why should they vote for you?
So at the end of the day, what I've told people is what I'm telling you right here in this session is that the City Hall belongs to the people of the city of Brockton. There have been unfulfilled promises for decades with respect to what I'm calling the mom and pop that sends their children to school, wants the best education experience, wants reasonable taxation, and wants clean streets. With respect to the quality of life, it's going to be top-notch in my city. I'm doubling code enforcement in the city of Brockton. We have some streets that look pristine, and we have some streets that look horrible. That we are finally going to address the basics of the basic services in the city of Brockton. Listen, at the end of the day, City Hall belongs not to me, but to all of us. I'm bringing that revolution into this run.
Last
for
question.
Mayor Brockton.
I asked all candidates this question. I just want to ask you this question. Just want to pay you 2 cents.
Yep.
Sanctuary City, your thoughts on that? Going forward, that seems like the big buzzword the last few months.
So,
just get your thoughts.
So as a diversity professional, I'm upset. And this may be inappropriate, Nobi, but I can't hold back. My position is what I said when we did the NAACP forum. You should not be running for mayor, governor, or anything if, in fact, your position is to keep using Trump's buzzwords around sanctuary cities. That was not the intent of the ordinance. And the sanctuary city, the use of sanctuary city sort of model is racist. And my concern is that that's being floated as a scare tactic. It's a dog whistle, and it's inappropriate in a city that is 62.9% men and women of color. So quite frankly, as you can see, I'm getting upset. I'm a little hot over that because that was not the intent. That was not Gene Darencourt's intent. That was not Mayor Rodriguez's intent when he was a city councilor. It was the United Ordinance, and it was needed for obvious reasons. I pushed back on the ordinance because of some provisions with respect to the schools and federal law. But I said to all the activists, I said to everybody, let's sit at the table, do MOU, A, and B, let's develop something in the mayor's office under the director of social services. So if these issues are existing, we'll have empirical data to be able to deal with it. Again, you need an executive in the office of mayor to fix these issues.
I just want to give you a chance to clear that up. I know it's been a buzzword. So.
Yeah, I'm heated over it. So it's not with all due respect, it's not a buzzword. It's a racial slang that's inappropriate in this city.
Tony Branch, wish you the best of luck. Everyone vote on September 17th. We'll be back with more interviews on The Conversation.